refer to this one. Right. So are you sending it over WhatsApp or Zoom?
Yeah.
All right, I think I received it over WhatsApp. Let me take a look. All right, downloading. Probably I can download it from here as well. Okay, let me just grab it from here. Are you still having school these days?
No.
Okay, all right. So yeah, hopefully we can catch up. Hopefully we can catch up, and by making full use of this holiday. All right. You almost passed in your last exam, so I think there is a very good chance you're going to pass pretty soon. I mean, next time. So yeah, but we have to keep going. All right. So don't stop. Be consistent, and hopefully, the next test you're going to pass your exam. All right. That's why we are here, and that's why we are having lessons. All right. Okay. Looks like you have done some pretty good work over here. Okay, because when I look at this, okay, what you're actually doing here is you are actually opening the bracket here, right? All right. Okay, I think it's better for me to get this question to PowerPoint, so it's easier. Or actually, I can do it with screenshot. All right, so from this and from your work, I can see that you have understood the concept. So over here, what it says is expand, and of course, after expanding, you need to simplify. All right, so pretty simple. So this is your first arrow. Let me choose the pen just to be consistent. And then, of course, you need to do for the second arrow as well. And then you're going to get this plus 18. The first arrow, you get minus 3a squared. And of course, you continue for the -4 and this minus a, you get this, correct. And over here, correct. And then, yeah, so that's the first step by opening the brackets first. And next, and you just have to do this. All right. And do you think you can simplify this further? Do you think you can simplify this further? What do you think? Oh.
Yeah.
How?
3 to 8 to 22 to 1 24 to
So in fact,
7.
In fact, for this, I think this is the last step already, which is the final answer. Why? Because I don't see any opportunity for you to simplify further. Okay, bear in mind there are a lot of students, right? After doing all this, right, then they still go and do the factorization again. So there's no need to do factorization because the question here says expansion. So if the question says expand and simplify, right? So you are not going to do factorize again. Okay, the reason is expand is the opposite of factorize. Okay, so please bear in mind. So that means if they ask you to expand, you don't go and factorize. So if they ask you to factorize, you don't expand. All right. So by the way, the question is given. This is factorized format. This is a factorized format. Okay. And then of course, okay, when it's in factorized format, then all you need to do is just do the expansion. All right. So that's why there is no need to go back to factorized format. All right, because the question is already given in factorized format. So I just want to caution you on this. All right. So there is no way for you to simplify further. Okay. And then yeah, you score this quite well. Next, over here, I think you let me see. Okay, good. Over here, you got it correct. Okay, so both are correct. So you score 4 marks out of this. So this shows that you have improved a lot since we first met. All right. So quick basic questions like this, you manage to score, and then of course, if you manage to score the basic questions, then very high chance you are going to pass pretty soon. All right. Let's go to the next question. Let me just pull this down. Go to the next question. Okay, did you circle A yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So when you circle A, I guess you face some problems doing A lah, or you don't know how to start. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So in fact, this question, I will say question A and question B, they are similar. But somehow, I don't know why you can, okay, in fact, your B, I will look at it later on, but A is a very standard question. Okay, so first thing first, for part A. So over here is already factorized format. Okay, how do you know it's in factorized format? Because can you see, you have two brackets and they multiply each other. All right. So when you have the question in factorized format, you're not going to expand it. Okay. So this question is a more advanced question than question 1 just now. Okay. So question 1 just now is they give you this. Okay. And they ask you to expand it. Okay. And then you end up. So if you expand this, right? So you will get 2x squared minus 4x, then plus 6x, and then minus 12 equals to 0. If you do expansion, I'm just showing you. If you do expansion, you will end up with this. Then of course, the next step is for you to simplify this. So the minus 4x and plus 4x, minus 4x plus 6x, so you will end up with plus 2x minus 12. All right. So in fact, for this question, you don't have to expand it. If you expand it, you are not going to solve it. Okay, you can't solve it by expanding it. So you need to do it with this factorized format. Okay, just continue from this format. So how do you do this question? Okay, so if you do this question, right? So let me give you a simpler question first before we do this question, because I think it's easier if you do it with a simpler question. So what if you have x minus 1 and then x minus 2 equals to 0? How are you going to solve this? Do you have any idea how you solve this?
Yes. X to negative 2x negative x.
Are you going to expand it? Are you
Yeah.
going to expand it? Okay, so are you okay? So in fact, I just explained to you, you are not supposed to expand this. If you expand this, okay, that means just now what you say is you try to expand it, right? In fact, if you expand it, you can't solve it. Okay, you can't solve it if you expand it. All right, so if you expand it, you can't solve. So my point is, don't expand it. Okay, remember, when you are given it in this factorized format, you don't expand it. All right, don't expand it. Okay, please remember this. So if you don't expand it, so how are you going to solve this? That's the question. So this is a factorized format already. This is factorized format. Good, just solve it. Then can I ask you, how do you get 0? So just give you a few examples. 0 times 1 equals to 0, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Then what about 0 times 10 is equal to?
0.
Exactly. So what gives you 0 if you multiply two numbers together? Okay. So anything times 0 is 0. So anything times 0 will give you 0. Okay. So anything times 0 will give you 0. That's how you get 0, right? So with this anything times 0 is 0. So with this concept, then you can start to solve this question. Okay, I'm going to show you. So the concept of anything times 0 equals to 0. So that means what? That means if you want to get 0 over here, what you need to do is you can either x minus 1 equals to 0 or x minus 2 equals to 0. That will give you answer 0. Because over here, it says anything times 0 is 0, right? So that means either x minus 1, this bracket is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. Either one of these terms gives you 0, and you are going to get 0 as the result. So do you understand this concept?
No.
No. Okay. So let me just go to PowerPoint. But do you agree that anything times 0 is 0?
Yes.
Okay, good. So then remember this concept. Anything times 0 is 0. So let me just close this first. All right, so we have the question. I'm going to use pen. Okay. So we have x minus 1, x minus 2 equals to 0, which is the question. And just now what we say is anything times 0. Okay, anything times 0 will give me 0. So let me write it properly. Anything times 0 is equal to 0. So this means, by the way, there is a times in between. I just use a dot, okay, to represent the times. So I don't confuse you with times and x, right? So anything times 0 equals to 0. So that means, can you see? So that means I have two terms here, okay? So this is my first term. This is my second term. So either of this is 0, I'm going to get 0. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is, let's say x minus 1. This one is not 0, but somehow this is 0. You're going to get 0 here, right? Because like I say, anything times 0, you will get 0. So meaning your x minus 1 can be anything, but as long as your x minus 2 is equal to 0, you get 0. So that's why I say, yeah, so x minus 2 is equal to 0. Or the other way, my x minus 1 is 0 times x minus 2, that will give me 0. So that's why this will give me x minus 1 equal to 0. That's why I say x minus 1 equals to 0, x minus 2 equals to 0, or x minus 1 equals to 0. They will both give me 0 over here. So does it make sense to you now?
Yes.
So let me give you one more example so that you will be more familiar with it, this concept. Okay, let's say I have x plus 3 times x minus 4 equals to 0. So in order to get 0 here, so what I need to have is either x plus 3 is equal to 0 or x minus equals to 4 equals to 0. Either case will give me 0 above. Okay, so for this question, if I continue to solve, x plus 3 equal to 0, so x is equal to minus 3. All right, or if I do for x minus 4 equals to 0, x equals to 4. So you have two answers for this question. All right, so if I go back to the previous slide, okay, over here. So if you read this, x minus 2 is equal to 0 or x minus 1 equal to 0. So what you could have done is, if x minus 2 is equal to 0, so your x is actually equals to 2. That's your first answer. And then x minus 1 equals to 0, you will get x equals to 1. That's your second answer. So for questions like this, you have two answers. So does it make sense to you now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now with these two examples, we will use these concepts to solve our questions. All right, I will use this concept to solve our questions. So our question is this. Okay, so it's x plus 3, 2x minus 4. So I'm going to just copy this to my PowerPoint. All right, so let me just crop it. So unnecessary stuff is not there. Let me just focus on the necessary stuff. Okay, so over here, the question is x plus 3. So you have x plus 3. And then you have 2x minus 4 equals to 0. So in order for, there is a times in between, okay? They did not label it, but you can actually label it yourself, just to remind yourself they times each other. All right, so in order for this multiplication to be 0, so you can take x plus 3 is equal to 0 or 2x minus 4 equals to 0. So does it make sense? Does it make sense to you? So this
Yes.
this is always your first step. You either equate the first term, x plus 3 in this case, to 0, or you equate the second term to 0. That's always your first step. And of course, after that, your next step will be just solve this. You'll get -3 here. And then for this, you need to do a bit of simplification. -4, bring it over, you get 4, x equals to 2. So these are the two answers for the first question, part A. Okay? Okay? Okay or not?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you solve for part A. All right, and part B, for part B, what you need to do is not okay. It's not okay. First thing first, this and this, they are not the same. They are not equal. Okay, and in fact, this is a very common mistake among students, and I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, remember, this is a very common mistake among students. So I hope you are aware of this common mistake, and then you don't make this common mistake yourself next time. Okay, so there are three formulas you need to remember for your this at your this level. So the first one is a plus b bracket square. Can you still remember this formula? And what do you get out of this? Okay, for this, a lot of students say they will get a square plus b square. Do you think this is the right answer?
Yes.
Actually, it's not. Okay. In fact, I'm going to show you why this is wrong. Okay. So when you have a plus b, right? When you square it, okay, what you are actually doing is a plus b, and you times itself, right? So when you have this a plus b bracket square, okay, what you are actually doing is you just times itself. Okay, so when you times itself, and then of course you just do the opening brackets next. So you are going to see that you have a square for the first arrow, and then ab for the second arrow. Then you continue further here. and then you're going to end up with BA, and then you're going to end up with B squared, and then you will see that you have what? A squared, and these two, they can add together to get 2AB, and then you end up with A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. So that is the answer for this. And you compare it to this, you have this missing. This is not here. Okay, so that's how you verify why this is wrong. A squared plus B squared is not equal. Okay, it's not equal to bracket A plus B bracket square. Okay, so are you convinced this is not equal? Are you convinced now?
Yeah.
Okay, so in fact, A plus B bracket square is equal to this. Okay, so in fact, this is the first formula you need to memorize. The second formula you need to memorize is A minus B bracket square. And I'm not going to do the proof for you here because I have already done the proof above. I'll just write you the answer. So you're going to get A square minus 2AB plus B square for this. Okay, and then the third one. So this is the first formula you remember. Second, you need to remember the third one is A square minus B square. So you're going to get A plus B. And then after that, A minus B. So these are the three formulas you need to memorize so that you can do questions fast in future. All right. If you don't memorize it, you can still solve it, but slower. All right. So okay, let's say if I'm going to make use of this, the first formula, because can you see that you have x plus 8 bracket square? So this x plus 8 bracket square is similar to this, the first formula. So I'm going to make use of this formula. And I'm not going to use the 2 and the 3 here because they are not useful in this game. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to expand this. Okay. So if I expand this, okay, I just need to follow the formula here. I'm going to get A squared. My A is x here, so it's x squared. My B is 8 here, so I'm going to get 8 squared. And then I'm going to have plus 2AB. So my A is x in this case. My B is 8. Okay. So I'm using this formula, and if I simplify it further, I'm going to get this. So in fact, your answer here, right, you have the plus 16x missing. That's why I say this is not right. Okay. So once you simplify this, okay, this term into this, right? So in fact, you need to have a plus 16. No? So you need to have a plus 16 in between. So I'm going to add a plus 16x in between. Okay. Then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to move the 25 over to this side. So this is your left-hand side, and this is your right-hand side. So what you need to do is you need to bring the 25 over to this side. So I'm going to make use of, so I'm going to just get rid of this space. So I have more space to work on this. So at any point of time, if you're unclear, just stop me. If you don't stop me, I assume that you understand what I'm talking about, so that I will continue. So I will go a bit slow here. Okay, so what you need to do, just rewrite it. Okay, and then bring the 25 from the right to the left. So 25 on the right, you bring it over to the left, it becomes minus 25. Okay, and then after that, you just simplify this. You're going to get x squared plus 16x, and then 64 minus 25. I think you will get 39, right? Yeah, then you get equals to 0. Okay, so this is what? This is, you have first term, you have the second term, and then you have the third term. Okay, and if you have third term, you're not going to solve it. In fact, you need to factorize this. Okay, you need to factorize it in this manner so that you can make use of what we learned just now, which is here. So first term, second term equals to 0. then you can solve it like this. Okay, so this way of solving this question is called factorization. So that's why you have 3 terms here already. You have 3 terms here already. So you need to factorize it first. After you factorize it, then you are going to get the answer using this method. So how are you going to factorize this? Like x squared plus 16x minus 39. Any idea? Any idea how you are going to factorize this? I mean, just any idea?
No.
Can you remember the what do you call it? The table method or the box method or the whatever method you learned in school, or we roughly talk about it the other time. We have some memory of it.
Yes.
Hmm?
It's like there's x and then there's 2 values below and then on top there's 2 more values.
Okay, so you have some idea of it, which is good. Yeah, at least you remember something. All right, so if let me rewrite the 3 terms before I do the factorization. So what you're going to have is you just need to ask yourself, how do you get x squared, right? So to get x squared, you need to have x times x. Okay, then you ask yourself, how do you get negative 39? Okay, there are many ways to get, or in fact, it's not negative, it's plus. Sorry, yeah, because I use mental calculation. So if you use a calculator, let me just double check with my calculator. So you can actually use your calculator on your side as well. 64 minus 25, yeah, it's 39. Okay, so please use a calculator. Okay, you're supposed to use a calculator. If not, you're going to make careless mistake, and then you make careless mistake like me, and then you end up with wrong answer. All right. So sometimes our brain doesn't function very well at night, or evening. Okay, so just use a calculator. So how do you get plus 39? Okay, there are many variations. Okay, there are many combinations. One of them can be, one of them can be what? 13 times 3, right? Then the other variation is minus 13 minus 3, right? Okay, so there are other variations like 1 times 39, and then negative 1, negative 39. And you are going to test which combination give you plus 16x. So let's test one of them first. Let's test this one first. 1 and 39. So if you choose 1 and 39, so let's ignore the rest first. So if you choose 1 and 39, right, what you're going to get is this. So does this 2 give you this? Let's see. X plus 1, x plus 39. And if you open this up, you're going to get x squared plus 39x plus x plus 39. And you're going to end up with x squared and then 40x plus 39. Okay, so you don't get 16x. Can you see? You get 40x instead. Okay, you get 40x compared to 16x. So that means you're supposed to get 16x here. Okay, but if you choose this combination 1 and 39, right, you're going to get plus 40x. So this is not what you want. This is not what you want. So if this is not what you want, that means this combination cannot work. This combination cannot work. So you need to take another combination. All right. So the correct combination should be 3 and 13. And I'm going to test this 3 and 13 together with you. So instead of 1 and 39, it should be 3 and 13. Let's test it. Okay, let's test it. So if you have x plus 3 times x plus 13, which is here, and you're going to like expand this, you're going to get x squared and then plus 13x plus 3x, then plus 39. And then if you add it up, 16x, I'm sorry. Yes, so you get 16x. Can you see you get 16x? Okay, so if you get 16 plus 16x here, and then you have plus 16x here, so that means this is the combination. 3 and 13. And therefore, once you get this, so you just write it down, and then you just solve it like what you did just now, this slide. So you have the first term, which is the first bracket. You have the second term, which is the second bracket. So you just equate the first term to 0, second term to 0. So similarly, you just equate this first term to 0, second term to 0. So I'm going to continue from here. So just erase unnecessary stuff. Okay, so I just need to equate this is my first term, this is my second term. So I just need to equate my first term to 0 or my second term to 0. And then with this, I get x equals to -3. With this, I get 4 x minus 13. So does it make sense to you? Does it make sense to you now?
Yeah.
In fact, if next time, if you see questions like this with 3 terms, just give you a simple one first. Okay, so if you get this 3 terms, okay, first, second, third, then of course you need to remember that you need to factorize it first. So once you factorize it into first term, second term, and then you just equate the first term to 0, second term to 0. Okay, so this is a very basic way to solve these 3 terms questions. So far so good?
Yes.
In fact, this way of solving questions, right, is I mean this kind of question, right, is so common in your Sec2 or Sec2 or Sec3 curriculum, or even Sec4. Yeah, you'll be tested so many times over and over again. Okay, and if you want to know the name for this, this is called a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation. Why this is called a quadratic equation? Because the highest power is 2. So that's why it's called quadratic equation. All right. So the highest power is 2. Therefore, it's called quadratic equation. If it's a quadratic equation, then you do this. Okay. You do factorization. Once you do factorization, then you solve it like this. Okay. Equate the first term to 0. Equate the second term to 0. And then solve it accordingly. So if how you solve this question, if this is the question, so how you solve this question is, so let's take this as an extra example. So what we need to do, we need to ask ourselves, how do I get x squared? So very simple. To get x squared is x times x. How do I get -3? And then when it comes to negative, there are many combinations. You can have -3, 1, or you can have 1 and -3, right? So you only have these 2 combinations. So which combination will give you +2x? That's the question you ask yourself. Okay, so if you test this first, by the way, this is +1. So if you test x -3, which is here, and then you test the second bracket x +1, which is here, and then you will realize that you will not get +2x. So you are going to have -2x instead. So you have x squared minus 2x minus 3. So can you see you have -2x if you take this combination? So -2x is not what you want. In fact, you want +2x. So then you know that, oh, this is not the combination. So you don't choose this combination, and then you test the other combination. So the other combination is this combination. Okay, then you test. So for this is, you have to test yourself, and then if you are familiar next time, you're going to be pretty fast. So this is your first term. Then this is going to be a second term, x -3. So open it, x squared minus 3x plus x minus 3. Yeah. Hold on, let me see. wait, it should be -1 and +2. It should be -1 and +2. -1 +2. -1 +2. So when you have -1, you have +3 here, you're going to get x squared, and you're going to plus 3x. You have -x. Then for this, you're going to have 2x. Plus 2x is what you need to get, because you need to have plus 2x. So you can safely say that this is combination. So if this is the combination, then you just put it down here. And then you just equate the first to 0, and then equate the second to 0, and then just solve this accordingly. Pretty straightforward, actually. Or I would rather say it's pretty systematic. Okay. Just need to remember the steps. So x equals to 1 and x equals to -3. So yeah, you have two answers. Okay, so this is one way to solve this. Then what about okay, I need to show you the second way if I have the calculator. Okay, but anyway, I will show you the video later. I have a video about how to solve this with calculator. All right, so right now I just show you how we can do it manually. So can we move on?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. So in fact, I have demonstrated to you how you can actually solve these quadratic equations with a few examples, right? With a few examples. So the next time you're going to solve quadratic equation, you can actually refer to this recorded video and somehow you can figure it out on your own. If you have problems still, then of course you can ask me. Just WhatsApp me and then I will answer your questions over WhatsApp. All right, next question. Oh, by the way, some of my other students, if you check out my YouTube channel, in fact, I have been doing a lot of lessons with other students as well. So you can see how other students are having lessons with me as well. All right. So it's just for you to have a reference. Okay, over here, this question is very straightforward. It's basically you just combine and cancel. Okay, so just let me just quickly just get this out and just check your answer. This question should be a giveaway, or I mean these questions, because you just cancel when you can cancel, right? Okay, over here you have 20, then you cancel with the 5, so you have 4 left. The 9 and the 3, you have 3 left. So you can simplify it before you go to the next simplification. So you left with 4s. This one you have 4s left, and then below you have q squared left. And then here you get 3pq, and then you have for r. So what I'm doing here is I want to clean it up before I continue, because I'm scared I cancel so much, I will miss out some terms. Okay, so now I see my q square here. So q cube, then I left with q. So if I combine it together, 4 times 3, 12. S is still there, P is still there, Q is still there, and then R is here. So you should end up with 12SPQ and R. 12PQS. Okay, it's okay. You just arrange it in a different order. It's okay. The order does not matter so much. Okay, you get it right. Okay, like you have done here, you use different colors. Okay, very good. Okay, when you use different colors, basically it's much clearer. Okay, to you. Okay, you will not miss out any term. All right, and for this question, I think you make a mistake. Okay, why? Because this question, before I mark on your this work, so in fact your this divide by this, your first step should be you should flip the second term first. Do you know that when you divide by something, it's the same as you times, but you flip the second one upside down. Do you know about this technique? Have you learned this technique?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this, I don't see you. I don't see you flip it. Okay. So if you didn't flip it, then you are wrong. All right. So next time, please remember when you divide by a fraction. So over here, you divide by a fraction. So when you divide by a fraction, the first step you do is you times the fraction, but you flip, you times and flip. So I times, and then I flip it upside down. So when I flip it upside down, then I can do the next step. Okay. Okay, before I do the next step, of course, I need to tidy up it a bit first. Okay, so you have x squared minus y squared, and then on top, and then you have 5 below. So x squared minus y squared, if you still can recall, I'm not sure if you can recall, we talked about it here. The 3 formulas you need to memorize. Can you recall this? A squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b bracket times a minus b over here. Okay, so let me just park it side by side, then you manage to see it for yourself. So this is slide 4. I'm going to just duplicate this. Okay, I'm going to make use of this. The rest I don't need. That's why I say these are the 3 formulas you need to memorize if you want to do questions fast. Of course, if you don't want to do questions fast, and then you cannot. Okay, so just park it side by side, and then you can see it for yourself what you end up with. All right, so we were talking about this. We were talking about x squared minus y squared, and what we should get x squared minus y squared. So x squared minus y squared is similar to this a squared minus b squared. So if a squared minus b squared get me this, so x squared minus y squared will get me x plus y. We'll extend this divide sign and then x minus y. So if I get this, okay, for x squared minus y squared, I will get this. Then you can actually simplify. 20, you simplify with the 5, so you get 4 above, which you did it correctly for this. But for this x minus y, you can cancel with the x minus y. And then you simply left with 4a above, and then 1 here for the first term. And then for the second term, you left with x plus y over 1. And then if you simplify this further, you're going to get 4ax plus 4ay. So that should be your answer. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why formula 3 is very important for this question. Okay, please take note, x squared minus y squared is not x minus y squared. No. No. I just demonstrated to you with this. When you have this, you're going to have this 3 terms. Okay, not this. Okay, in fact, I demonstrated to you on this slide already, just now. Here. So when you have this bracket a plus b squared, you're not going to have 2 terms only. You're going to have 3 terms. All right, you're going to have 3 terms. So you need to like somehow try to memorize these 3 formulas. Thank you for the thumbs up. So just want to yeah, sometimes I'm a bit long-winded. I understand that. Okay, just to make sure you understand. All right, let's move on. Yeah, sometimes when I'm long-winded, please let me know. Yeah. Okay, question C. This question is also, I will say, similar to your I think your exam questions also. Actually, I think this is quite, we talked about it last time, but anyway, we can talk about it again, because I think this is slightly harder than the other time. Okay, if we get this question, okay, by the way, you are already given a scale, and this scale is in cm to cm, even though they are not telling you, but actually it's cm to cm. Okay, so what you need to do, and by the way, this is a length ratio. Okay, this is length ratio. And for part C, right, they're talking about area. So that means by having the actual area here, so in fact, this is a hint for you to use area ratio. Okay, so that means how do you get from length ratio to area ratio? That's the first step. Okay, okay, let's look at this. How do I get from length ratio to area ratio? Number one, let me just write in this manner first. So this is cm, and then this is cm. Okay. So in fact, I can change cm. Okay, I need to look at this because actually they are linked lah. They are linked. So part A is linked with part B is also linked with part C. So in fact, I want to change this to 1 cm to km. How do I change? Right? So if you still remember, 7500 cm is, I change to meter first. So I have 750 meter. Okay, I just need to divide by 100 to get meter. And then meter to kilometer, I need to divide by 1000. So I should end up with 0.75. Okay, so if I change cm to kilometer, I should get 0.75. So this should be my length ratio in cm to km. So once I get this right, then I can make use of this length ratio. Okay, this length ratio in terms of cm and km, I can change it to area ratio. And do you know how to convert length ratio to area ratio?
Yes.
You just square it. Just square this thing. You just square this. Once you square this, this is your area ratio already. Okay. So next time when you have the length ratio, you just square the length ratio. You square so this is your length ratio. You just square it, then you get the area ratio already. So once you get the area ratio, then you can solve this question. They say what? Find the area in square centimeter. Very easy. So I'm going to make use of this. So 1 cm over 0.75 kilometer. So when you square it, you square this, you square this, you square this, you square this. Okay. And then after that, you equate. So they say this is 3.5 kilometers, 3.5 square kilometer actual. Actual means below. Kilometer square. And then they ask you what is the map. So the map is X. So you can actually use your calculator. So let me just get this into a PowerPoint. Actually, this is a very common question also. So let me just focus on this part. Okay. For area, use area ratio. Okay. Area ratio is just you square the length ratio. Okay, so I just need to simplify this. Okay, so 1 square, you get 1. So square meter is above. 0.75 square, can you help me out with your calculator? 0.75 square, what do you get? Yeah, please help me out with your calculator. 0.75 square.
0.75
square.
Yes, sir.
So let me also do it here. Okay, 0.75 times 0.75 is 0.5625. Okay, so 0.5625, and then I have the kilometer square here, and then I have X here, I have 3.5 here. Okay, now things are very simple. How do you get X? Okay, so before you get X, what you need to do is ask yourself, how do you get 0.5625 to 3.5? Okay, so there is you need to times something, right? So you just need to find out the factor, which is 3.5 divided by 0.5625. So in fact, you need to times this 6.2222222, all this. 2222222. In fact, it's non-stop. Okay, my calculator is not strong enough. I cannot get the fraction. So can you help me out? What's this fraction? So actually 3.5 divided by 0.5625. So what do you get in terms of fraction? Yeah, can you help me out? I want to get the most accurate answer.
6.2.
No, 6.2 is not the most accurate. Give me a mixed number or give me a fraction.
56 out of 9.
66 over 9.
56.
Or 56 over 9. Okay, good, thanks. So 56 over 9. So basically you need to times 56 over 9, then you will get 3.5. So it means you use this, you times the 56 over 9, you will get 3.5. So similarly, if the denominator times 56 over 9, we'll get 3.5. So above, you also need to times 56 over 9. So in fact, your x is 56 over 9. Okay, this is improper fraction. The question asks you to treat significant figures or whatever, just give it to them. Okay, so the most exact one will be this, or mixed number will be 6. Then you have 2 over 9. This is mixed number. And then if you don't want to express in this, you 6.22. This is two decimal places. Did they ask you for 2 or 3? Let me see. 3 significant figure. Okay, so 3 significant figure will be 6.22. 3 significant figure. Okay, so just give them what they want. Okay, so what I have done here is, if I give you a simple example, right? What I have done here just now is, let's say if you have 1 over 2, and now I have x over 4. So how do you get x? You just ask yourself, how do you get from 2 to 4? You times the 2, right? So if your denominator times the 2, above you also need to times the 2. So therefore x is equal to 2. I'm actually making use of this technique here to solve this. Okay, there are many other ways. Okay, but this is I find quite simple to understand. Okay, can we move on?
Yes.
Good. All right. By the way, just between you and me, I think you can just unmute yourself, and so it's okay. Unlike in your class, you have other classmates. That's why you want to mute yourself when you're not speaking up. All right, so we have done this. Then of course we move on. Okay, over here you have highlighted this ADC. ADC. Do you think you are correct or not? 2, 4, 5.
Yes.
I think you are not so correct. Even though I have not done this question, but if I look at this, right, this angle ADC, right, doesn't look like a 2, 4, 5 angle to me. This one look like obtuse, but not 2, 4, 5.
But they say reflex.
Oh yeah, you see, very good. So that's why ADC is not more than 180. In fact, this is how should I put it? This is that's how you can actually look at the answer and see if it makes sense. Okay, so like you say, very good. You pay attention to the word reflex. So if ADC, which is here, you have highlighted it purple, it doesn't look like 180, right? It's not 180. Then that means you know the reflex has to be more than 180. So that's your first, like you don't do any calculation, you already know that, oh, it must be more than 180. Okay, very good. Reflex means, yeah, reflex means this. Okay, reflex means this. Okay, so what are the concepts involved here? Okay, let's look at it. Okay, 65, this is 65. The reason is over here it says what? Congruent. You know what's the meaning of congruent? Any idea? What's the meaning of congruent?
I do not know.
Okay, good. So if you don't know, and then probably you make a guess, and then I don't know whether your answer is correct, but let's make sure that you understand every word here. Congruent means exactly the same. Exactly the same. Okay, what do I mean by that? Exactly the same means, okay, I'm going to take this out and put it on PowerPoint so that I can manipulate it better. Okay, triangle CBD, CBD. Okay, I'm going to create a triangle CBD. Okay, this is my CBD. Looks like I'm a bit off, so just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, this is CBD. So let me just label it CBD, and then ADB. Yeah, so I need to create another one. So when they say congruent, exactly the same means you just copy, exact copy. But I just need to rotate it. Okay. So I just copy. So if this is my triangle 1, then this is my triangle 2. I copy my triangle 2 from triangle 1. Okay. So this is my A, B, B. That's exactly the same. Okay. So 1 and 2 is exactly the same. So if they are exactly the same, so what do you get is everything is the same. Meaning what? Meaning the size of the triangle, the angles. So that means this angle is the same as this angle. Okay. Let me use different colors. It looks like I need to get this to send to back. Oh no, send to back now. Let me just move it down a bit. Yeah, move it down a bit. So this angle is the same as this angle, and this angle is same as this angle, and this is 90. This angle is same as this angle. Okay, and then all the sides are the same. Meaning what? Meaning this. So this one is same as this, and this slanted one is same as this slanted one. Then of course, then the final one, which is here, is the same as this. That's called exactly the same. Okay, so with this understanding, then you can actually go ahead and do the questions. So they tell you the green one here is 65, right? So they already label the green one is 65. So therefore, the green one here is 65, which you have written down. Okay, so it shows that you have understood it. All right, and then it says what? This ADB is 90. ADB is 90, which is here. Here is 90. Therefore, this is also 90. Okay, so with this, then you can quickly find out what's the angle here. The red one will be 25. So the red one here will be 25. Okay, so this is 90, then this is 25, right? So how you do it? You just do 360 minus it. So that's why you get this. Okay, so that's how you get it. Okay, your working here is the same, but I just want to let you know the meaning of congruent is exactly the same. Okay, good. Next. Next question. Okay, so far you have scored a lot of questions, which is a good sign, yeah. And we move this to this. Next. This is directly proportional. Forgot what this is. Okay. So yeah, I think we talked about this in our first lesson. Anyway, yeah. So there are two types of questions regarding the proportionality. This question is the concept of proportionality. Okay, so this question is directly proportional. So for directly proportional, so let's talk about the general concept of proportionality first. So you have direct proportional, and then you have indirect. Okay. So for direct proportionality, the formula is x equals to mx, and then for the indirect is y equals to m over x. Or if you don't choose m, you can use k. I'm going to explain to you what this 2 is about later on. And for this 2, k is a constant. Do you know what's the meaning of constant? K is a constant. Yeah, what's the meaning of constant?
I always say the same.
Correct. So k is a constant. So k is always the same. No change. Okay, k stays the same. Okay, no change. Okay, so if we look at this directly proportional question, so meaning we are going to use this formula, y equals to kx. So in this case, I write down y equals to kx first because it's direct proportion. Okay, once I write down this and I realize, oh, the question used v, so I change my y to v. And k is also the same, I just write k. And then over here it says to the cube of its radius. So this is the statement, cube of its radius. So instead of x here, cube of its radius. What's the meaning of cube? R to the power of 3. So that's why I replace. So I replace my y with v because we are talking about v here. And I replace x with cube of its radius. So cube of its radius is r to the power of 3. So that's why I replace y with v, I replace x with r to the power of 3. So are you clear about this first step or not? Are you clear?
Yeah.
Huh? No.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what if this question is not directly? What if this question is indirectly proportional? Then you use the indirectly proportional formula, which is y equals to k over x. So in this case, the y is not y, but v. K is still the same because it's always the same. X is replaced by r to the power of 3 if this question is indirectly proportional. Okay, so I'm just trying to tell you, oh, if this question change to indirectly proportional, okay, then you need to use this formula and you will end up with this step 1. But in this question, it says directly proportional, so you're not going to use this. Okay, so you're going to use this. So once you form this, I think it's pretty simple. You know why? Because they say R is 7.5. Okay, so R is 7.5, so I put 7.5 into it. And then what is V? V is this. So I just put in this. So this is your step 2. By the way, V is 562.5 pi. So this is your step 2. This is step 1. This is your step 2. So with step 2, right, I think you can solve for K already. So K is equal to 562.5 pi divided by 7.5 to the power of 3. Okay, so let me use my calculator. My calculator is not as powerful as yours, and you can also do this exercise together with me. So you should end up with this. So you should end up with the denominator is 421.875. Above is 562.5 pi. Can you help me out? What's your K? Can you help me out with this? Just give me a.
Okay.
They say, can you see? They say in terms of pi, so meaning you don't have to do for pi. So that means you just leave the pi alone. You just do this, just do this fraction with the numbers. So you just do this. So just use your calculator and then just use your calculator to figure this out. And give me the mixed number or the fraction.
900 over 6.
900 over
67.
67. Okay, good. So that's the answer. So k is equal to 900 over 67 pi. Okay, good. So, but this only give you k. It's still not the final step. Okay, because part A they say what? Part A they say find the equation connecting V and R. So in fact, you already have the equation. This is the equation. This is the equation. Connecting V and R. Can you see? V is actually equals to K times R cubed. This is the equation. But this equation, you don't have the value of K, right? Can you see the step 1 here? But we have found out the value of K. So therefore, we just have to put in this. We just have to input this K in terms of pi into step 1 equation. So if I step 3, so step 3 will be V is equal to, my K is here, I found it here. So it's 967 pi and then R cubed. So this is the final step, which is the answer for A. Okay, this is how you get your answer for A. Okay, so far so good.
Yeah.
Then with this, then of course it's very simple to get B already, because now what they say is R equals to 9. Okay, so R equals to 9. So what you do, just replace R with 9. And then just use your calculator. Okay, just use your calculator, and then this, by the way, this is a times. So you just key in 900 over 67 times pi. Oh, once again, they say give your answer in terms of pi. So this means you just leave the pi alone. Don't do for pi. Just leave the pi alone means bring the pi to the back. And just do for the bracket. So you just have to do 900 over 67 times 9 to the power of 3. And then what you get?
It's
Yeah.
13.4.
No, just give me a fraction, yeah.
1329 over 67.
1329 over 67.
Yes.
Okay, good. Then you have
no, the 13 is the side.
okay, good. Is okay. So 13 and 29 over 67. Right?
Yeah.
That's how you read. Okay, if you have like let's say you have 1.5. So this is called 1.5. Okay, that's how you read this mixed number. All right. So for this is 13 and 29 over 67 pi. All right. So that's how you get this. Okay. So this question is very common, and then yeah. So you should get this repeatedly. All right. So before we go to the second half, let's take a 5-minute break, shall we?
Okay.
Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we come back in 5 minutes. See you in 5 minutes. So stop share. See you in 5 minutes. All right, I'm back. Let me know when you're back.
Hi.
Hello, welcome back. Can you see the blue screen already?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's continue. Okay, good. We have just finished this question. Direct proportional. Okay, next. Question 7. Okay, so is there one way to find it or more? Well, your drawing is very good. But this question, you need to make use of the concept of similarity property. Yeah, over here, the word similar. So you need to make use of the word similar here. Okay, let's. Is there one way to find? Yeah, so the answer is yes. But anyway, let me just crop this out first. So this question, okay, so you need to focus on the word geometrically similar. So you make use of the similarity property. Okay, so how this works is first, I think you are given the length ratio because it says the heights of the vases A and B are 10 and 40. So you already have the length ratio. Okay, so the length ratio is 10 to 40. Okay, so this is your A vase, this is your B vase. So this is the length ratio. Okay, so if you have the length ratio 10 to 40, in fact, you simplify it, the length ratio is actually 1/4, 1 to 4. Okay, so with this understanding, they ask calculate the diameter of the base of the vase. So you make use of the length ratio. So over here is 12.5. So if length ratio is 1 to 4, now is 12.5 because this is for vase B, right? So 4 is for vase B. So what is X? So yeah, the question is once again, how do you get to 12.5? Okay, so you times something, right? So if I use my calculator here, 12.5 divided by 4. Yeah, so you times 3.125. That's how you get 12.5 from 4. So similarly, on top, you also need to times 3.125. So therefore, your X is 3.125. That's how you get 3.125. Okay, for the diameter. So over here is 3.125. Okay, so next it says another vase C has a base of 20. So this is 20. And then the height is 75. So is vase C similar to the vase B? Then what you need to do is you just need to find out whether the length ratio is still valid or not. So what this means is if A is similar to B, the height ratio and the base ratio is the same. So the base, this is the height ratio, is equal to the base ratio. Okay, so this is valid. Okay, this is the height ratio. This is the height ratio. This is the base ratio. If it's valid, then that means A and B, they are similar. So you just need to test whether the height ratio and the base ratio, they are the same or not for B and C. Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to do that. So I make use of the similarity property. That means you make use of the length ratio. And over here, you have two lengths. One of them is the height, the other one is the base. If they are the same, that means they are similar. If they're not the same, that means they are not similar. So the height ratio is 4. The height is 40 for B. The height is 75 for C. I need to ask myself whether it's equal to the base ratio. And the base for B is 12.5. And then the base for C is 20. So you just ask yourself whether these two is equal or not. So let me do it quickly. You divide by 5, you get 8. You divide by 5, you get 15. So it's 8 over 15 for the height ratio. And then over here, I need to times 10. Okay, to make it whole number, divide by 5. Okay, I think I can divide by 25. I get 5. Divide by 25, I think I get 40. And divide by 5, I get 1. Divide by 5, I get 8. Right? Let me quickly check. Because I'm using mental calculation. So I get 125 divided by 200. Yeah, I make a mistake here. So I divide by 5. Let me see. 125 divided by 25. I guess 5. So 200 divided by 25. Oh, it's 8. So therefore, you realize that the base ratio is, this is the base ratio, is 5 over 8. The height ratio is 8 over 15. So are they the same? They are not the same. So if they are not the same, I mean the height ratio and the base ratio, they are not the same, that means they are not similar. So does it make sense to you now? Hello, are you there? Hello, Bono. Okay, I lost. Can you hear me? Hello, student, are you there? Hold on, I seem to lose your voice. I can't hear you at all. Let me just message you. Are you still there? I can't hear you suddenly. Strange. Hello, hello. Let me stop share. Very funny. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Let me test my this again. Hello, hello. Yeah, I think you need to unmute yourself. Hello, student, are you there? Oh, it's getting weird. I lose my student. Let me quickly WhatsApp my student.
Huh?
Oh, now you are back. Are you there? Now you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I just show you why B and C, they are not similar. Did you get it? Okay, good. So where did you go? Because suddenly I lost you and then yeah.
I went to the toilet, sorry.
Okay, so next time just tell me you need to have an urgent nature call, then yeah, I will excuse you. Otherwise, it's like I'm talking to a black hole. Yeah, a bit scary. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah. So just just say that you need to do this and that, then I will excuse you. Huh? This is about just a small gesture, a bit of respect. All right. Let's move on. It says the volume of a hemisphere is given by this formula, and then you are asked to express R as the subject. Oh, this is a very common question. Okay, this is so common. So you circle it unless you have problems. Okay, so just see how we can solve this. All right, so the question is given in this format. So this format says V is the subject. V is the subject. So the meaning of V is the subject means V equals to something. So over here, part A, it says express R as the subject. So meaning what they want is they want R equals to something. Okay. So how do you get the R equals to something from V equals to something? All right. So I just write down V is equal to 2/3 pi R squared first. Square or cube? Volume cube. Okay. So R to the power of 3. Okay. So what I need is I need to have R equals to something, right? So what I need to do, I need to get rid of 2/3. I need to get rid of the R. Okay. If I don't get rid of them, I will never get R equals to something. Okay. If I don't get rid of this 2/3 and pi, I'm not going to get R equals to something. All right. So looks like the V is already at its place, which I don't have to do anything, but I need to get rid of the 2/3. So how do I get rid of the 2/3? I bring it over. Okay. How do I get rid of the pi? I move it over as well. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Okay. So R has to be on one side. That's why you get R equals to something. Then the other side is non-R. All right. So how do you move the pi over? So you just divide by pi. By both sides. Then you cancel the pi already. Right? And then you see that if you divide by pi on the left and you divide by pi on the right, you get rid of the pi on the right. So you end up with V over pi equals to 2/3 R cubed. Okay, so you are one step closer because you get rid of the pi already. So the next step is you need to get rid of your 2/3. Okay, how do you get rid of the 2/3? You divide by 2/3 on both sides. Okay, so if you divide by 2/3 on both sides, you get rid of the 2/3 on the right, and then you need to simplify this. Okay, so how do you simplify the left side? So you have V over pi, you divide by 2/3. Then you will get R cubed. This looks much better. So now you're only left with R cubed. Okay, so you need to do this when you divide by 2/3. Just now what we say, when you divide by 2/3, you need to times and you flip 2/3 upside down. Okay, when you divide by a fraction, you times and flip the fraction upside down. So the 3 goes to the numerator, the 2 comes to the denominator, and then you get R cubed. And then if you simplify, you get 3V over 2 pi equals to R cubed. Okay, so the question wants you to have R equals to something, but now you have R cubed. So how do you get R from R cubed? Any idea? How do you get R cubed to R?
To R.
So I just want you to know square root is the opposite of square. Okay, so cube root is the opposite of cube. So I'm going to explain to you what these two what these two statements what they mean. All right, square root means square root is the opposite of something square. Cube root is the opposite of something cube. So what this means is if you have a to the power of 3, which means a cube, how do you get a? You just need to cube root your a cube, then you will get a. Okay, so similarly, you have r cube here. Then how do you get r? You cube root r cube. So if you cube root r cube on the right, then you also need to cube root the left side. Okay, so far so good. So once you cube root both sides, you are going to end up with r on the right, and then you are going to end up with this on the left. And then that's it. So you just need to switch place because you want r equal. You don't want something goes to r. So it's just r equal to, you just rewrite it one more time. So this is the answer for part 1 or part A. So far so good?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you get rid of everything until you have r cubed on one side, and then r cubed, you need to cube root it on both sides to get rid of the cube, and then you get your r. So that's part 1, which is A. So now hence find the value of r when v is equal to 1152 pi. Okay, good. So v equals to 1152 pi. So you just have to sub in the v equals to 1152 pi. Replace your v. So v is here. So you just replace your v with 1152 pi. The rest remain the same. Okay. So now you see that you have a pi here, and you divide, cancel. And then now you have 3. So you simplify it further, you're going to have cube root 3 times 1152 divided by 2. Can you help me out with this using your calculator? This is 3 times, not 3 point. Can you help me out with this? See if you can get a nice number. Yeah, help me out with your calculator. Do you get a nice number? Let me try to do it here as well. 3 times 1152 divided by 2. So if you do it, you should cube root 1728. Do you know how to press cube root 1728?
Yeah.
So what is the answer? 1728 cube.
12.
Yes, so the answer is 12. Okay, so in fact, this question, I will say this question is very common, and this question is slightly more complicated. In fact, if you are given a simpler question, and you should approach the question this way. Let me just give you another question. So what if you have this? Let's say v equals to 2 pi r, and somehow you are asked to say make r the subject. So make r the subject, right? Make r the subject. Make r the subject means mathematically r equals to something. So how do you make r the subject? So you just ask yourself, r is here. So what you need to do, you need to get rid of the 2 and the pi. If you can get rid of the 2 and the pi, then you have r, right? And how you do it? So you get rid of the 2 first. How do you get rid of the 2? You divide by 2, right? So you divide by 2 on the right, you also need to divide by 2 on the left. So how do you get rid of the pi? You divide by pi. So you get rid of the pi. And if you divide by pi on the right, you also need to divide by pi on the left. And then if you simplify this, you're going to get v equals to 2 pi equals to r. So finally you have r on the right side already. And then you just need to rewrite this r equals to v over 2 pi. So this is the answer for this question. If they ask you to make r the subject. Simple enough? Simple enough?
Yeah.
Good. So let's move on. So this question we are done. Make the subject. Over here, what to say? Factorize. Okay. So okay. You know how to factorize, but I'm not sure whether it's correct. Let's look at it together. Part B, yeah, problem. Actually, part B is what we discussed just now. 3 terms, and then quadratic equation. Then you need to factorize it. The test method. If you practice enough, and then you straight away see. Okay, is there an easier way to find the answer? Okay, good. You're talking about this question, right? So this one is 4 terms. Okay, for 4 terms question, you need to group. Okay, for 4 terms question, you need to group. Okay, I'm not sure you have group, but anyway, you need to group. So how you group? You can group this way. Let's say you see a 21ax. Okay, so let's say you see a 21ax. And then you see a x minus 9x. So you can group x and x together. So I group x and x together. I mean, I group the terms with x together. So this is the one group. And then the next group is, I'm going to group my 15b and then this minus 35ab together. Okay, I'm going to do it. So I write 15b, which is a plus, is plus, then I'm minus 35ab. Okay, so this is my second group. Okay, so then you can group already. Both have x, you take out the x, right? And then not only they have x, they also have a 3. So if you 3x, you are going to end up with 7a. Okay, and then you take out 3x from the 9x, you are going to have 3. Okay, and the next step is plus. So now you need to focus on this pair. I think you have a b common, and then you also have a 5 common, right? So if you take out 5b, you're going to have 3. When you have 5b out of this minus 35ab, you're going to have minus 7a. And can you see that 7a minus 3, and then over here you have 3 minus 7a? Can you see that they are the position of them, they are not the same? Okay, so what you need to do, you need to so instead of writing it plus 15b minus 35ab, right? So that means you need to switch place, because only when you switch place, you are going to end up with, so let's switch place, so plus 15b. So now I realize that I have to take out, so from this pair, I'm going to take out minus 5b, and I will end up with 7a, then minus 3. Then good. I have both 7a minus b, 7a minus 3. I take out the common factor, 7a minus 3, and then I have 3x minus 5b. So that's how you do this question. Of course, you can do it your way. Okay. Actually, I don't know how you get yours. But if you want to do it the correct way, then this is your first step, and this is your second step. Okay. There is no easier way. Okay. For 4 terms question, you need to group them into pair first. Once you group them into pairs, then after that, you just do the step 1 and step 2. Are you clear?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then now it comes to this question, 2x squared minus 7x are minus 15. 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. So number 1 equals to 0. So this is a quadratic equation. Why? Because it's to the power of 2. So this is a, okay, let me move this away first. So this is a quadratic equation. because the highest power is 2. So if it's a quadratic equation, you need to do factorization. So you need to put it into 2 brackets. This is your first term. This is your second term. Okay, standard procedure. Okay, I hope you still remember our slide 2. Okay, over here. Okay, 3 terms, get it into first term and second term in factorized form. Okay, so how do you get it into factorized form? Then you ask yourself, how do you get 2x squared? How do you get 2x squared? You get 2x squared by doing 2x times x. Okay, then you ask yourself, how do you get minus 15? Okay, there are many combinations. Like I say, there are many combinations, but there is only one combination that you will get minus 7x. Okay, so basically you can test for what? You can test for 5 and then minus 3. You can also test minus 5 and then 3. Okay, but ultimately there is only one combination that fits the bill. Okay, you can also test minus 1 and 15, or 15 minus 15 and then 1. So out of all this combination, only one combination can give you minus 7x. Okay, the combination is, what do you think? Which is the combination? The combination is this. Minus 5 here and 3 above. Okay, so the combination is this. And I'm going to show you why. So the rest cannot. Okay, so if you have this combination, you will get this. 2x plus 3, x minus 5. Then you can open it, the bracket, and you see it for yourself. Minus 10x plus 3x minus 15. And then you get minus 7x here, minus 15. Yeah, that's how you get minus 7x. So that's why I say only this combination can work. The rest of the combination doesn't work. Then can I ask you, are you wondering how I can get the combination so fast?
Yes.
Or then you must be asking, okay lah, you can do it so fast, teacher. Then what if I cannot do it so fast? Then how can I get it so fast? Are you wondering now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let me show you. In fact, you have to, okay, now let me finish this question and I'm going to talk about how you can get the combination fast. Okay, so the first, then you have first and then you have the second term, and then the first you equate it to 0, or the second you equate it to 0. Let me finish this first. So x equals to 5. That's one of the answers. Then of course this is x equals to minus 1.5. That's one of the answers. So you have 2 answers. Okay, for this question. Okay, let's take a look how you can get the combination fast. In order to get the combination fast, you need to, first thing first, you need to practice enough. Okay, I'm going to just give you some examples. 1, 2, and then okay, so let's do one more. Okay, so 3 questions. Okay, so first thing first, you need to know that these are all quadratic equations. Why? Because the highest power is 2. So for quadratic equation, your method is factorize them. First bracket, second bracket, or first term, second term, and then equate them to 0. So that's your first step. And then of course with this, then I think you have no problem having the first, how do you get x squared? You have no problem. But then you ask yourself, how do you get plus 2x? So in order to have plus 2x, right, this minus 3, you have plus 3 and minus 1, and then of course you have minus 1, and then you have the minus 3 plus 3. So, or you can have 1 and then minus 3, right? And then you have minus 3 and 1. So you have these 4 combinations. Then how do you get plus 2x? You ask yourself, no? For this one, you will end up with plus 2. I mean, you add them together. Plus 3 minus 1 is plus 2. For this one, you also get plus 2. For this one, you get minus 2. For this one, you get minus 2. Then, if you look at these 4 combinations, you can quickly eliminate these 2 already. Because minus 2 is not what I want. I don't want minus 2. So you just choose between these 2. Okay, then you test the first. So this is x plus 3, that's your first bracket. X minus 1 is the second bracket. So just test. So open it, you will get x squared minus, so this is x squared, this is minus x, then plus 3x, then minus 3. Good, so that you get minus 2x, or you get plus 2x. So this is the combination. Okay, that's how you can get the combination. Okay, so let me demonstrate to you for the second one as well. How do you get the combination fast? So I start with 2x squared plus x minus 3 equals to 0. Actually, I'm doing question 2 already. So how do you get 2x squared? 2x and x. Okay. How do you get plus x? Okay. You have minus 3 here. So there are many combinations. You can have minus 3 and 1. Then you can have minus 1 and 3. Of course, you can have 1 and then minus 3. And then you can have many more. Okay. But there's only one combination that gives you the answer. Okay. Over here, this is what? Minus 2. This is minus 2. This is minus 2. And you realize that all of them don't give you plus x. So you eliminate them all just by doing so. Okay. So you don't test this. Then what you need to test next is you can test this 3x and 1. So there is a negative sign, so the negative is here. Okay, then you realize that this is the combination. Let's test. To get plus x. So I get 2x squared, I get minus 2x, I get plus 3x, that is minus 3. Yeah, done. This will give you plus x. So therefore, this combination works. Okay. Last one. Last one. Last one means the third one. So the third one is you have x squared plus 3x minus 18. So you ask yourself, you are supposed to have x squared, so x times x. How do you get plus 3x? You have a lot of combination, minus 3 and 6, right? Or 6 and minus 3, or what? 3 and minus 6, and then many other combination. But you ask yourself, you get plus 3 here, you also get plus 3 here, you get minus 3 here. So immediately you can cancel this. You don't want minus 3, you want plus 3, right? So you just test one of them. So probably you want to test this. Because it's minus 3 plus 6 is plus 3, huh? So you just test this. So just write it horizontally. So you get x squared, then you get 6x, then you get minus 3x, then you get minus 18. Oh yes, you get plus 3x. So yeah, that's what you get. Yeah, so this is the combination. Are you clear? So this is the combination. So by doing this practice, then somehow over time, you'll be able to find a combination pretty fast. All right. Okay, good. So I've demonstrated to you how you can do this. Oh, by the way, this is called factorized. So the answer for this 2x squared minus 7x minus 15 is, let me see if I have the answer. Looks like it's here. This one. This one, okay, over here, can you see part B is without equals 0. So without equals 0, then I just delete the 0. So you don't need to solve. You stop at this. Because there is no equal to 0 on the right. So you don't need to solve. So this is the answer. Okay, the question here, part B, there is no equal to 0, right? So you don't put the equal to 0. Understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is no equal to 0, you just ignore the equal to 0. So equal to 0, remove. Equal to 0, remove. So just do this part. Just do the left-hand side. Okay? Okay? So there is no need to solve. So the answer is this. Then you just stop at here. Okay? Next. Hence, given that this is this, find the value. This one should be quite easy because, like I say, right, your this is wrong already. You realize your mistake or not for the part A, 10A? You realize your mistake already? When you have bracket square, are you supposed to have 2 terms only? No, right?
No.
Yeah, you're supposed to have 3 terms. So that means you miss 1 term. Okay. So let me make use of that formula. A minus B bracket square. So it's A square minus 2AB plus B square. So if I follow this, so I just follow it closely here. So it's 4Z. So square. So my A becomes 2x here. So I just bracket it 2x squared. And then I'm going to do my plus B. My plus B is this 4Z. So 4Z squared. Okay. Okay. Then I have my 2 times A. A is 2x. B is 4Z. So I just sub in. So now what I do is 2x squared, I get 4x squared. Then this one I just have to 2 times 2 times 4, 4 times 4, 16. So minus 16, x times z, x times z. Then over here I get 16z squared. Okay, after opening this, I will get this. So the answer for part A is this, after expansion. This is not times, this is x, just to clarify. Okay, that's why that's the reason why when you go to Sec2 and onwards, right? I don't use times. I don't use times, right? I don't use times because times and this cross, right? It looks very similar to my x. So in order not to confuse my student, I use a dot in the middle as times, so that I don't confuse myself with x and times. Okay, I use a dot. So that's why I also encourage you to use a dot in the middle. This is acceptable, by the way. Yeah. Okay, so part A, you get this. Then after that, it says, given that this is equal to 12, so it says this one is equal to 12. So can you see x squared plus 4x squared is 12? So x squared plus 4x squared is 12. So what this means is x squared, then that means 5x is, so x squared plus 4x squared equals to 12. So this means what? This means 5x squared is equals to 12. And then they say xz equals to 7, xz equals to 7. So this means what? This means, hey, no, this is z. This is not x. I just realized this is z. Okay. So I cannot combine them. I need to do it differently. But over here, they say xz equal to 7. So that means this is xz. This is your xz. So you can replace your xz with 7. So this is 16 times 7. And then I have this 4x squared. I have this plus 16z squared. So 4x squared plus 16z squared minus 16 times 7. Okay, so this one, what do you get? You get, so you just times 4. You times 4. This one will be 4x squared plus 16z squared. So this 4x squared plus 16z squared is actually equals to 12 times 4, which is 48. So that means this whole thing is 48. Then 48 minus 16 times 7. So just use your calculator. 48 minus 16 times 7. Let me use my calculator here. 48 minus 16 times 7 minus 64. So that's the answer.
Okay.
So that's how you get it. So please remember for this part, okay, when you open the bracket here, you are going to have three terms. First term, second term, third term, which you can also make use of this formula. Okay, pretty simple. Next. All right, over here, find the value of, never mind, let me just zoom in. So over here, it says find the value of y when x equals to 0 for the equation. Okay, this one quite okay. Yeah, so I think, you managed to do it. I mean, I'm not sure whether it's correct or not, but anyway, you managed to do it. So let's get this out. Okay, so in fact, for part A, you need to factorize. So how you factorize? Yeah, this is a quadratic equation, 3 terms. You need to factorize means you want to get into this format. So how you get into this format? Ask yourself, how do you get minus x squared? Minus x times x. That's how you can get x minus x squared. There is only one combination. Now the question is, how do you get plus 3x? There are many combinations here, but there was only one combination that give you plus 3x. The answer should be minus 5 and plus 2. Okay, because this is going to give you what? Minus 3. Okay, so minus 3 and plus 3, I mean, at least you have a 3. I'm going to show you why. Because of this minus sign here. This combination is going to give you plus 3x. So you have minus x plus 2. You have x minus 5. So open it, you have minus x squared. Then this one go to this, you have plus 5x. And this one, you are going to have plus 2x. Oh, hold on. I make a mistake here. You're going to have plus 10, right? So when you have plus 10, so that means this is minus 2. Because minus 2 minus 5 give you plus 10. Minus 2 times minus 5 give you plus 10 times. So that's why you're not supposed to get plus 2. Okay, so you're supposed to get minus 2. So you do the first bracket. I mean, first arrow, you get minus x squared. Second arrow, you get plus 5x. Then below, minus 2x. Then plus 10. Then you will see that you end up with minus x squared plus 3x plus 10. And this is exactly the question. Okay, so this is exactly the question. So the two factor is, one of them is this. This is the one of the factors, then this is the second factor. So let me just do it above. So I should have minus x minus 2. I should have x minus 5. So this is my part 1. Next, it says find the value of y when this x, let me see, x equal to 0, is it? Yeah, x equal to 0. So x equal to 0, then you just sub it in. So 0 is replaced by 0. I mean, x is replaced by 0. So 0 square, 0. 0 times anything, 0. Plus 10. So y equals to 10. Yeah, y is supposed to be 10. Yeah, you get this correct. For this one, let me see if you're correct. For this one, you take the minus sign. You're not correct. It should be this. All right. Then the C, state the roots of the graph. Roots of the graph means, so you have to memorize this. Okay, what's the meaning of roots of the graph? Do you have any idea what's the roots of the graph?
No.
Okay, roots means solution. I'm going to explain to you the meaning of roots. Next time when you see the roots. Okay. So next time when you see roots of the graph, this graph, right? Meaning you need to do this equal to 0. Okay, so if they ask you for roots, it means solutions. It means the value of x when this minus x squared plus 3x plus 10 equals to 0. So roots means solutions. Okay, if you don't understand solutions, it means they want to find the value of x. So how do you find the value of x? You already have this one equal to this one. So just do this. Second bracket is this equate to 0. How do you do this? This is your first term, this is your second term. To solve this, equate the first term to 0 or equate the second term to 0. This is our slide 2. I can even remember the slide already. Then after that, your x is equal to minus 2 for the first term, and then your x equals to 5. So you have answer part C already. This is part C answer. Then what they say, state the y-intercept of the graph, y equals to this. So this y-intercept is you need to, what's the meaning of y-intercept? Any idea?
The y-intercept.
Any idea? No. The y-intercept means if you just take the word y-intercept, right? If you just take the English meaning of it, basically is the point it cuts. The point that cuts the y-axis. Okay, the point that cuts the y-axis. So if I give you a curve, let's say this is 0, this is 1. So what is the y-intercept? So the point that cuts the y-axis, this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. The point that it cuts the y-axis, this point. For this question, the y-intercept is y equals to 1 because it cuts the y-axis at 1, right? Okay, so this is the y-intercept for this question. Okay, so what if I give you another question? This is 0, this is minus 1, and then the curve is this. So the y-intercept is this. So this is your y-axis, this is your x-axis. So in this case, the point that it cuts the y-axis is the minus 1, right? So the y-intercept in this case is y equals to -1. So this is the y-intercept for this question. This is y equals to 1 equals to is the y-intercept. So now for this question, you need to find out where the curve cuts. So the question is, let me see the question. Yeah, so the question is this. So you need to find out where it cuts the y-axis. Yep, sorry. Yeah, so where it cuts the y-axis. Okay, so where it cuts the y-axis, okay, is when x equals to 0. When x is equal to 0. Okay, because when you, so let's sub x equals 0 into this. So next time when people ask you what is the y-intercept, right, you just sub x equal to 0 into this equation. So you end up with y equals to 10. Okay, so in fact, you can actually use a website. You can sketch this out. The website is called Desmos. It's a very good website for you to graph anything. Do you know about this? Do you know about this website? So I'm going to demonstrate to you the y-intercept for this case is 10. So I'm going to key in this. Okay. So how do I key in? Let me see. Is it plus? Oh, I have not used this for some time already. I don't know how to use already. So sorry about it. Okay, let me see the Desmos graph here. Do you use this often?
No.
No. How come I have all this? I'm not supposed to have this. Okay, let me just get this. So I need to input the question. So it's y equals to minus x square minus x square plus, let me see what's the question. Okay, plus 3x plus 10 plus 3x plus 10. Yeah, good. So the y-intercept is this point. Can you see? This is where it cut the y-axis, right? This is the y. Okay, the vertical one is the y-axis. The horizontal one is the x-axis. So the point where it cuts the y-axis is 10. Can you see the word 0, 10?
Yes.
So in this case, the y-intercept is y equals to 10. Okay, 10, right? So in fact, you can play with this. You can play with this until I mean, you can play with this with different equation. So let's say if I get rid of the minus sign, is the y-intercept still the same? Yeah, the y-intercept is still the same. So if I change it to 8, then the y-intercept will be 8 already. Okay, so it's just, you can keep playing with this. But if you don't have this available, what you do if they ask for the y-intercept next time, if they ask for the y-intercept, just remember sub in x equal to 0 into the equation. Because when you sub in x equal to 0 into the equation, you end up with y equals to minus x squared plus 3 times 0 plus 10. So 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. So you end up with y equals to 10. So that's how I get y equals to 10. Are you clear? Good. So yeah, yeah, with this, then we can conclude today. Time's up. So going forward, oh, that's paper 2 already. Yeah, paper 2. Yeah, we will look at paper 2 our next lesson. So in our next lesson, I will focus on the questions that you circle. Okay?
Okay.
And in fact, I'm going to give you just paper 1 for your next assignment before our next lesson. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, good. So I will see you next week, same time. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.